Broadcasting live from Gruul Turf on the plain of Ravnica, this is TapTapConcede.
Smash them, we eat.
Smash, is that the flavor text?
Borborygmos.
Right, of course. Big Borbors.
And he has two cards in, I think, the first Ravnica set where he uses both of those, well, either of those lines.
Or meat and eggs, we eat.
Yeah, Protean Hulk is we eat, and there's some other one, I don't remember what it is. Where he's
Have you seen Protean Hulk?
It's gross.
I would not eat that.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Protean Hulk is from Ravnica?
Yep.
That's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Where? It must be a Simic thing.
Which is also
it's a Gruul thing.
A very, very early segue into stuff that's in this pile of cards in front of me, but maybe we'll get to that
Hulk.
later.
That's true. Yeah, Protean Hulk might be relevant.
It's Hulkless Hulk.
Hulkless
Damn
Hulk.
it.
Not
Today,
even kidding.
Today we're going to be talking about. First of all, hi, welcome to TapTapConcede.
Hello,
Hi.
everyone.
Graham here, Cam is here, and Alex is here.
Holla.
And of course, Paul's on engineering. And today we're talking about Constructed. Specifically, Cam's going to give an update on the standard deck he talked about last time. Mm-hmm. And Alex is going to talk about a new Highlander brew that he put together.
Oh, it's real dirty.
But first, you want to give this a big roll?
Oh boy.
You just sort of chuck it across the room, Paul, or do that.
Okay, that's a 20.
All right.
Well, that's easy.
Wow, crit.
Well, I mean, the bottom of the pack is
Baby
this
grill.
pack of Innistrad.
Ooh.
So I guess we'll go with Innistrad. You want to set those down on the table?
I'm excited.
So this is a pack of Innistrad that was given to us by Robert Kyer at GP Vegas.
What are you going to do with your foil, Liliana?
We could be so lucky. Wow, this is a recent addition. GP Vegas. Gotta love Innistrad. Innistrad, one of the best limited formats of recent.
Best formats, period. It was like a slam dunk for flavor, too.
So good. Can't open this pack. I'm used to the pull tabs now.
Packs are garbage, though.
By the way, we were talking. I remember we did that Modern Masters episode where we were like, I don't know about Modern Masters 2015. Mm-hmm. I mean, it'll probably be fun to draft, but seems weird. No, it's super fun.
Glad to hear it.
I realized we never did a follow-up. It's super fun to draft.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we also said that we were going to trust Wizards on it.
Exactly,
We were
we
skeptical.
did. Yeah, we did. But skepticism unfounded is really, really good. Speaking of really good, or at least entertaining, Festerhide Boar.
Gross.
It's a 3/3 for 3 and a green with trample, which is already better than a
Seems fine
Hill
for a
Giant.
common.
but it has Morbid when it enters the battlefield with 2 +1/+1 counters on it if a creature died this turn.
Oh, that seems real good and limited.
This guy was really difficult to deal with. If they triggered Morbid,
5/5 for 4.
5/5 trample for 4. It was really hard to deal with.
Yeah.
The green-white counters deck did some good stuff in this format. Mm-hmm. Here you go. This one, on the other hand, not great. Gruesome Deformity.
Blorp.
Creature enchantment for a single black mana. The enchanted creature has Intimidate because they look gross.
Ha!
I'd really want this to cantrip.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Oh, well.
It doesn't do that. Intimidate, by the way, is, of course, it can't be blocked except by artifact creatures and/or creatures that share a color with it. So that's actually interesting because this is a black card, but you could put it on a white creature, and then it can only be blocked by artifact creatures or white creatures. Mm-hmm. The creature gets Intimidate, not Fear.
Yeah.
Which is like Intimidate, but only for black.
Intimidate is like an evolution of Fear. It's fear for any color.
And now it's gone.
This gets around. This will swing right through Emrakul.
Oh, yeah. It's not an artifact creature.
Premium common here, Dark Thicket Wolf. This guy was a beating in limited. It's a 2/2 for 1 and a green for a wolf. That's it. It's a 2/2 for 1 and a green. But it has activated ability for 2 and a green. It gets +2/+2 until end of turn.
Ooh, it's a Rootwalla.
Now, you can only do that once per turn. Yeah. But it's very much... Is this actually a direct reprint of one of the Rootwallas?
No, I don't remember what
one
the
of the
cost is.
Rootwallas, I think.
I feel like the mana cost and activated cost might be reversed on Rootwalla.
Yeah, but this was great because you could be very aggressive. You play this on turn 2, then they play something, then you attack with this.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, it's exactly flipped.
Okay.
Oh, Rootwalla costs 1 more.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
But
Oh,
its
it's flipped.
activated ability is
Right,
too.
you're
Cheaper.
right. Yeah, so this is... Yeah. So, better in different situations, but you could play this, and then on turn 3, you have 3 mana, and you attack. And either they can force you to pay it, but then they lose their creature, or you can just be like, you get in for 2, and then you play your 3-drop. Real good.
Yarp. Oh, no, this guy.
Speaking of good green commons,
Green removal.
Ambush Viper. 1 and a green for a 2/1 snake with flash and death touch. Yeah, this guy. This is how I learned how priority works in the combat step.
Oh dear.
Because at the Innistrad pre-release, some guy was like, "I attack with this," and I'm like, "I flash in the snake and block," and he's like, "Wait, you flash in the snake?" I'm like, yes. He's like, "Before blockers, I kill it," and I'm like, "What? What do you mean? So do I not get to block?" "No, because I killed it before you did that." And I'm like, I don't understand steps, but now I do.
So, is there a way around that, or did you misplay, or
No, I didn't misplay. It's just that if he didn't have the removal, he had Geist Flame. Right. And it's so because the way it works is you flash this in the attacker step, but then both players get priority again, and then it moves to blockers. So, yeah,
priority.
It's a hell of a thing. Speaking of red removal, Harvest Pyre is 1 and a red for an instant. As an additional cost to cast Harvest Pyre, exile X cards from your graveyard, and it deals X damage to target creature.
I think I can see Nicolas Cage in there, burning to death.
Yeah, I think he's screaming something about bees. It does look like a Wicker Man. But this one was okay. It was not amazing, but it was fine. As it turns out, there was actually better stuff to do with your graveyard.
Yeah.
Not the bees.
Mulch!
Mulch was a key card for a lot of different stuff, especially the everyone's favorite quote rogue limited deck from this format, the spider spawning deck. Mulch is 1 and a green for a sorcery. Reveal the top 4 cards of your library. Put all land cards revealed this way into your hand, and the rest into your graveyard. So
this card's good.
Well, the nice thing about Mulch is like you get to hit a bunch of lands, and you get those in your hand, or at, quote, like that's actually a worst case scenario. Because, quote, worst case is that you whiff completely and 4 cards go in your bin. Well, 5, because the Mulch goes in your bin as well. That's great for you in this set. Having 5 cards in your graveyard on turn 2 is really, really good for you in this set. So, in fact, hitting 4 land off Mulch is like, well, I'm glad I didn't spend the next 4 turns drawing those land, but that's actually the worst case scenario for Mulch.
It's just like Mulch Threshold is active?
Yeah. Smite the Monstrous. It's 3 and a white for an instant. Destroy target creature with power 4 or greater.
Very relevant in werewolf heavy.
Yeah, good for the flipped werewolves.
Bam.
Or transformed werewolves, to use the
this is
terminology
this set.
correctly.
Yep.
What if we get a Delver?
Or any sort of double-faced card. That'd
Scab.
be pretty sweet. Armored Scab. Armored
So there's
Scab.
a cycle, well, not quite a cycle, but a bunch of Scab. They were primarily blue.
Yeah, the Scabs were blue.
Were they all blue, or like
Yeah.
dipping into
Yeah,
blue
the Scabs
black?
were the blue zombies.
So there were zombies in blue and black, but the blue ones were Scabs. And they were like Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah, the one thing they had in common was that they were all sort of undercosted, but you had to exile a creature from your graveyard, or 1 or more creatures from your graveyard to cast.
Well,
them.
except this guy, who enabled
Yeah.
that. This guy is a 1/4 for 2 and a blue. When he enters the battlefield, you mill yourself for 4. You put the top 4 cards of your library into your graveyard.
So that makes your next step easier.
You're thinking of, let me think, Stitched Drake was the flyer that did that. Then there was
That's a good common.
something Mauler, I want to say. It was like a 4/5, but you had to exile 2.
And then there was the
mythic one that everybody
mythic.
was like going bananas over, and then it wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that guy was underwhelming.
Unfortunately, yeah, Scab Goliath.
Right, Scab Goliath was the uncommon. There was, I want to say there was a 4/5.
Scab Ruinator was the one that like.
Right, Ruinator was the mythic who was
like
crazy
a
good.
5/6 flyer for 3.
And,
You crazy good.
And even if you mill him, you can cast him from the graveyard.
Yeah.
He seems pretty sweet.
Yeah. I wanted to build a Highlander deck around this guy.
Here's some of the few like pieces of non-red direct removal. Blazing Torch. It's an artifact, single colorless mana for an artifact equipment, and it only costs 1 to equip. The static ability is equipped creature can't be blocked by vampires or zombies, and like that's not amazing, but it means that the equipped creature has an activated ability that is tap the creature and sacrifice the Blazing Torch to deal 2 damage to target creature or player.
I really
Just
like
chuck it.
flavor on this because it's like back. Oh, I lit your building on fire.
This is interesting, of course, because I know that Mark Rosewater dealt with this on his Drive to Work podcast when he was talking about designing Innistrad, or at least I read an article about it. I know that Rosewater's talked about this because the three sort of creature tribes in Innistrad were vampires, zombies, and werewolves. And this doesn't affect werewolves because this had originally been printed in Zendikar block.
Right.
And they decided
no
that...
way.
Yeah, and they just decided that... rather than print an almost identical card but add werewolf, that they would just be like, no, it's just Blazing Torch and whatever, it doesn't affect werewolves. Darn. You know, it's like maybe a minor
fine.
flavor fail, but whatever. Grasp of Phantoms. This is sweet. So Griptide as a sorcery, basically. It's 3 and a blue, put a creature on top of its owner's library, but you can flash it back for 7 and a blue.
Whoa.
Also, it has sweet art.
It has awesome, terrifying art. That man is getting
no.
very, very grasped by phantoms.
Bad touch.
Flashback. One of my favorite mechanics.
Inquisitors fail.
So the Inquisitor's flail
The nunchuck.
is
Really?
two.
That's what it was called?
That's what I called it.
Yeah,
my
it's
God.
two mana for an equipment that equips for 2. If equipped creature would deal combat damage, it deals double that damage instead. If another creature would deal combat damage to equipped creature, it deals double that damage to equipped creature instead. This is not double strike. This is very different. In fact, if you put this on a creature with double strike, it's going to go nuts because it deals combat damage in each step. If you put this on
Damn, dude.
a core duelist, it deals 4 damage if unblocked. Core duelist is only a 1/1 though, so it's not that exciting. It gets double strike if it's equipped.
What were the vampires that had haste in double strike?
Oh,
'Cause
haste
that
and
happened to
double
me
strike?
with- I'm sure.
You
There's,
got
I know
flail
that
out.
Rakish Air has haste. No, Rakish Air is a different one. Vampire.
Herb.
They were like rare.
There's like a 4 mana or 4 power haste vampire in the set in red. There was a rare one
Yeah.
with haste.
No, maybe I'm
and double strike.
hallucinating.
You might be.
Well, it's possible.
Anyway,
I seem to
Inquisitor's
remember
Flail was
this.
actually never that great in,
No.
in limited.
No, it was like nunchucks. It was a good way to hurt yourself.
Yeah.
So this is not very relevant because nobody really played it much.
Hmm.
But there's some weird rules interactions with Inquisitor, as is always the case when you have something like deals double the damage than it normally would.
Right.
As so, the two things being, if you can equip 2 Inquisitor's flails onto 1 creature.
Oh,
But it doesn't do anything different, does it?
No, it does.
deals quad damage?
Yeah. Damage
Cool.
dealt by and dealt
No.
to the creature will be multiplied by 4.
Wait,
It-
quintuple damage?
Wait, shouldn't it only deal triple damage? Oh no, because
it
it's
doubles it and then
Yeah,
doubles it again.
yeah.
Yeah, and a
It-
third one will multiply by 8.
so okay.
'Cause
You put
the
put
things-
put 2 on a 1/1. It's going to deal 1 damage, so it will deal 2 damage. And because it's going to deal 2 damage, it will deal an additional 2
Right,
damage.
because you stack the triggers.
Yeah.
So it deals 4 damage total.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you have a third one on there, it deals 8 damage in total.
Good lord.
The other thing is if the creature has trample.
Oh no. Oh right.
So the trick here is that
If
damage is assigned before it's doubled.
Right, and you have to assign
Oh.
lethal damage.
So if you've got a 5/5 with this thing on it, who has trample, and he gets blocked by a 2/2, you got to assign 2 to the creature, and then 3 tramples over, which then becomes 4 to the creature and 6 trampling over.
Right,
You can't go 10 to
because
8.
it's if it would deal the damage, but you have to assign lethal damage before you can trample.
Right.
Right.
That's gadonk.
It's super weird.
super weird and not relevant because it sucked.
Yeah, true. Battleground Geist is our next uncommon. It's 4 and a blue for a 3/3 flyer. Other spirit creatures you control get +1/+0.
That actually doesn't seem so bad.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
Well, yeah, because like +1/+0, this is a set that had like Midnight Haunting.
Yeah.
And,
Though it didn't have Lingering Souls. That was
oh, okay, but there's plenty
Yeah.
of spirits.
Yeah.
In this
You
set.
you could get a good blue-white flyers deck with a fair number of spirits, and this guy was pretty okay. There was a white counterpart that gave all spirits +0/+1.
Yeah, that
And
was like
this one was better
Yeah.
because they already have evasion.
Well,
But you could get things like a Lantern Spirit. That would then become a 3/3. No, sorry, Lantern Spirit was the one that was a 2/1 with first strike. So this would be a 3/1 with first strike. And there was the Chapelgeist that would become a 3/3. That's the one I'm thinking of. Anyway, Battleground Geist was pretty sweet. Speaking of spirits, this is a weird one.
dearly departed.
This is our rare Dearly Departed 4 white for a 5/5 flying spirit. As long as Dearly Departed is in your graveyard, each human you control enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it.
Weird.
Which is actually not that great.
No.
Yes, yeah.
But a 5/5 flying spirit for 6 is not terrible. Like it's a dragon.
Durgan.
You'd probably still play it.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, you'd play a white dragon.
Yeah, but it just means that like, you're never going to get that value unless this thing's already died, and even then, it's like, okay, you've killed my 5/5 flyer, and now my 2/2s get to be 3/3s now.
Well,
Yeah,
That's something to build a deck around.
Yeah.
so what's our flip card?
Well, first we have an ad card for the Innistrad rules. You can go online and read all about it. Then we have the checklist card for all the flip cards, and then we
Nobody
have
really ended up using these, did they?
a lot of people did, and especially in draft if you had
Yeah.
Yeah, and
if you had
draft,
sleeves. Yeah. But then we have the Village Ironsmith. Actually, quite a good one, especially in the really good early curve in the Werewolf deck. So Village Ironsmith is a 1/1 with first strike for 1 and a red, which is maybe not amazing, but it's fine. At the beginning of each upkeep, if no spells were cast last turn, you transform Village Ironsmith, which means you flip the card over, and he turns into Iron Fang, which is a 3/1 with first strike, and the transform clause at the beginning of each upkeep. If a player cast 2 or more spells last turn, transform Iron Fang. So if you're on the play, you can get Iron Fang down on turn 2, and then if your opponent didn't have a 2-drop, then you were attacking with a 3/1 first strike on turn 3, and that's pretty all right. Not as good as
I like
the turn 1 Reckless Wave, but we
The,
can't all be winners.
the flavor text on this card continues on the front and back.
Yeah.
Each night he abandons the trappings of civilization. Each morning he repairs the front door.
I love it so much.
Yeah, no, this is a real good flavor set.
You'd think he'd just stop closing the door.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty
Oh,
excellent.
So you can see his scar.
Pardon me.
Is on both.
Oh yeah, there was so much good design in this set.
So first pick,
First pick, pardon
probably
me.
the Dearly Departed.
Yeah,
Still,
dragon.
Yeah, probably. I mean,
white.
let me see the pack here. I guess Ironsmith could be a pick. Dark Thicket Wolf actually is a really solid pick as well.
I'd be
the
like
torch,
sorely
maybe.
tempted by the Dearly Departed, not just for the body, but also because it kind of like cuts white.
In this pack, yeah, the only other white card in this whole pack is Smite the Monstrous, which is a very, very, very late pick in this format.
Yeah,
So yeah, you could definitely take Dearly Departed and just be like, I have a 5/5 flyer, deal with
and
it.
then like you can be reasonably certain that there's going to be green to your left.
To be honest, there's actually a pretty high chance you get Battleground Geist back.
So maybe just build a spirit stack.
You totally could, yeah. Anyway, sweet. So thank you for that pack of Innistrad, and that's our pack to crack this week. So Cam,
Yes.
last week you were telling us about your new standard deck. I can't remember the name of it.
I was either going to call it Eclipse Phase or Mean Girls.
Right, Mean Girls deck. Mean Girls. So, and you predicted you would go 1 and 3. James said you'd do 2 and 2. How did you do?
I did 2 and 2,
Nice. You also said you would go to 3 games each round.
and I did.
All right.
And I did. So it felt good because in the games that I won, I was winning pretty handily.
You
And
were
in
doing all the
games-
things that you wanted to do.
Yes, in the games I lost, I was getting slowly ground out. Usually by aggro, usually by like just a couple of extra damage per turn that I couldn't deal with, which is how those decks work.
Just
right?
like I attack you with 4 1/1s, and you'll eat 1 or 2 of them, but
Yep.
I'll be able to force enough damage in over enough turns that you'll die.
Yes. So last week I faced Mardu Dragons, which was an odd mid-range control-y deck. And
Like playing 4-drop and 5-drop dragons?
yeah, it played a lot of like Stormbreath Dragon and Thunderbreak Regent.
Jeez.
And then
Oh,
into things like
Thunderbreak.
Elspeth. So like that went reasonably well because I beat that guy. And I think my best play against that was waiting until he scried something to the top with a temple, and then Villainous Wealthing for 6.
Wow.
And in that I got Thunderbreak Regent, Stormbreath Dragon, Elspeth, and
Do you
I think an Utter End?
Wow. And Stormbreath has haste, right?
Yeah.
So you got to beat with it that turn, too.
Yeah,
Damn, dude.
and that felt really good. Like that was Christmas Land. That was amazing.
Yeah.
And that was game 1, so I felt really good continuing with the deck after that. Game 2, I was on the top table, fighting against a
Or round 2?
Round 2.
Yeah.
Sorry, round 2. I was on the top table playing against the Blue Devotion Artifact deck.
I didn't know that was a deck.
Neither did I.
Okay.
And in like game 2, I'm like, why is this guy running Darksteel Citadel? That's a weird thing to include. Is there like an affinity deck in Standard right now?
I guess.
And then it got to game 3, and he like Ornithopter and Soul Artifact,
Whoa.
and I was like,
Uh-oh.
right, that.
Oh, the Insolnithopter.
Yeah,
I didn't think that was.
Insolithopter.
I didn't think that was still a thing.
Well, if you don't have the removal for it, you're pretty dead to it fairly quickly.
That is a
Yeah,
4-turn block.
that was one of our preview cards.
Yeah,
It gets
and
played in like Modern and sometimes Legacy.
Really?
yeah,
I love it.
I think
As-
I've seen a
I
Legacy
love the
list that
scissors.
plays the scissors.
Scissors is so good.
like if you don't have the removal, a 5/5 is pretty good, especially if it's going like the Insolithopter is whatever. It's a 5/5 flyer or a 5/7 flyer.
Yeah.
No, it's just a 5/5 flyer.
Base power toughness.
On a Darksteel Citadel, it's super bad news.
Oh my God, you're right because it's
Yeah.
a 5/5 indestructible
Yeah.
artifact.
So at that point, I was like, I'm pretty sure I have Sultai Charms in here somewhere. But while all that's going on, he has military intelligence out, and then things like the 1/1 Megamorph guy who's unblockable.
I would
and-
never have expected to see this in Standard.
Yeah, the 1-drop Flying Siren that.
Oh,
Oh.
Hypnotic Siren or
Yeah,
whatever?
the Bestow Siren.
Yeah, that
And then
becomes
just
a
like-
mind control lead.
Yeah,
game?
and then the blue Morphling, whatever that is, the Mega
Oh,
Morphling.
Mega Morphling, right. Shore Crasher.
Yeah.
Shore
and,
No, not Shore Crasher Mimic.
Shore Crasher
Is it
Elemental.
Shore Crasher? Is it
I
Shore
think it's
Crasher Elemental?
Shore Crasher Elemental.
Is it? Who knows? Anyway.
Which
I'm-
is, yeah,
Yes.
Shore Crasher Elemental.
Nice.
Which I felt good about because, like, game 1, I'm playing against this guy, and he's like, Morph Creature, and I'm like, I dissolve your Shore Crasher Elemental. And he's like-
the soul reads.
Flips. And I'm like, yes! I know this format. Having forgotten about Insol Artifact.
Yeah.
And, like, I was bubbling Thassa with Kiora most games.
Oh, yeah.
Just to keep her from going online.
Right.
And also because I had a target, really.
Mm-hmm.
And in a couple of games, no, the 2 games I won against him, it was because I ultimated Kiora.
Nice. And I gave you stick for.
Or no, sorry, the 1 game I won against him. I ultimated Kiora.
I
'cause
gave you
lost
stick for
this
those
match.
Kraken tokens.
Yep.
Dude.
Yeah, I actually ran out of Kraken tokens.
Oh.
Yes. The best kind of problem to have.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I need more Kraken tokens.
Do you guys have any more Krakens?
Yeah, but I wound up losing that game mainly to like Insol effects and just the deck running away from me.
Rough.
Right, like having 2 military intelligence on the table with Thassa.
That's a
is
lot of card advantage.
It's a lot of card advantage.
That
and
card
you cannot-
impressed me in
Yeah.
in M15 draft. I was like, this card seems really, really bad. But boy, if you can get even an M15 draft in to be clear, I'm not saying that the card is amazing, but in the right deck in M15 draft, it was gross. I know I played a draft with Marshall, and he had two. He had 2 of these, and just a bunch of really cheap attackers, and he was just like drawing
Yeah.
stupid amounts of cards.
Anyways, it was a really sweet deck that I liked a lot.
Mm.
I think it's actually an evolution of a Woo Brew from last summer.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, a Travis Woo deck. Game 3 was against a guy running Dramoka Weenie. Basically, like a white weenie deck. Splashing,
Splashing green for like Dramoka's command and
Yeah, Dramoka's command, and then like a combat trick from Theros block that puts counters on 2 guys.
a Johnny's?
No, it wasn't a Johnny's. It was like Karametra's Blessing or something like that.
It wasn't the Strive one?
No.
Oh.
I mean, this kid was probably like 15 or 14, so it was like, it's what he had. It was a budget deck.
Okay,
but it was
fair
actually
enough.
pretty sweet, and he was winning games with it.
Nice.
Right? White Weenie can be hard to deal with, especially when you're dealing with a bunch of the Khans of Tarkir mini lords. Like
And
when
a lot
you've
of your
got-
removal is 1-to-1. So.
Yeah, when you've got like Falconers and Battle Priests as like kind of your baseline creatures, that can run away from you.
It's the no, that's
No.
from Avacyn Restored. It was the
It would have been from Born of the Gods.
it's like an instant speed travel preparations.
Yeah.
But I can't remember what it's actually called.
And like that deck did it gut punches you kind of hard.
Yeah.
Because it can from kind of out of nowhere, as it turns out. Especially if it's 2-for-1ing you with a lot of like Dromoka's commands.
Yep. Dromoka's command is real
Like
good.
sacrificing your Courser, I buff this guy, suddenly I have lifelink, and there's like a 7-point life total, or no, a 14-point life total swing.
That card's so much better in Standard.
Yeah.
The enchantment sacrifice clause or mode actually is way more relevant in Standard than it is in
with
Draft.
cards like Thassa around.
Yeah, but also with coursers
Courser,
everywhere.
yeah.
Because in Dragons of Tarkir Limited, maybe you'll get there's not like there's no enchantments.
Yeah.
There's the sieges and stuff, and maybe you'll be able to get some sort of value off of it. But typically, almost without fail, you are casting that for the 2 modes of put a +1/+1 counter on my guy and fight my guy with your guy.
Yeah.
Maybe not even the same guy, but it's like someone's getting a counter and one of your creatures is
It
dying.
was like a cheap epic confrontation.
But yeah,
there.
in Standard, it's like, oh, I see you have a Courser of Crewfix. Guess what? My guy is bigger now. Also, your blocker is gone. Crunch.
Yeah.
Your blocker that nets you card advantage is gone.
Yeah, and life gain.
That's really good.
So yeah, it was a good fight. However, that was also the kid that I ulted Liliana against.
Oh,
Oh,
And I think I netted
that one.
Yeah,
Reap what is
Reap what is
sown.
sown.
Thank you, Paul. Put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 3 target creatures.
And so I
Wow, that's gross.
rezzed 9 creatures, I think, from him.
Oh, you got all his weenies back from the graveyard?
Yeah,
Woof.
and including a couple. What's the uncommon mythic from
Elite Scale Guard.
Elite Scale Guard?
Yep.
A couple of those guys. I mean, how can you hate a deck that's running Elite Scale Guard?
I love
card
that
is
card.
sweet.
It's really good. Especially when you're running Reap what is sown.
Yeah.
Everything just taps everything else.
Yeah, like this is like, I mean, this deck is far from optimized, but I thought it had a lot of potential. Like, yeah, it was a budget deck. I will take the win, but yeah, honorable opponent. And then my final match was against a Jund Warriors deck.
whoa.
Jund Warriors.
Yeah, running like Bloodstained Champion, really good card.
Okay. Yeah.
And the
Or
Brawler guy.
Blood Soak Champion.
Blood Soaked Champion.
Yeah.
Blood X'd Champion.
Blood champion.
Yeah.
Bloodman.
And then the
2 shields.
Oh, that
Heir of the
guy.
Wilds.
Heir of the Wilds.
He's a bear with Death Touch, and he gets
Yes.
+1/+1.
Yes,
with
of course,
Ferocious
from Khan's block. Yes.
Death touch bears.
So it was just like running like a lot of removal and a lot of just good cards, right? And like the mana base was a little rough, but it could still, this is the one that got away from me quite quickly.
Really.
Because, well, the champion comes back from the graveyard. Right?
Yeah.
So, like, 1-for-1ing it with removal feels bad.
Yeah, it does.
There's no good exile effects in Standard, are there?
No good ones, not really. There's, like...
Certainly no good ones. There's Reality Shift, but it's not a great one because they get to manifest.
Yeah, and then there's things like Tormod's Crypt.
Right.
Which is, like... I've heard that control players are actually running Dissipate for the exile effect against Death Mist Raptor.
Damn.
And like
I can
it's
see that.
generally agreed that it's bad, but the fact that people are doing it indicates that there's some serious stuff going into people's bins right now.
Because you're running Dissolve, which is the same CMC, but it only counters, but you get to scry.
Yeah.
And you'd rather scry than
Yeah, I'd rather scry.
than exile something. But
Yeah.
I mean, Deathmist Raptor, right?
Yeah. Which I haven't encountered yet, but was there. Like if I had won game 2, I'd be playing against a Death Mist Raptor deck. Yeah, so like a lot of like rogue decks, when I checked MTG top 8, like I was expecting a lot of Abzan Whip decks. I was expecting Atarka Red or Atarka Atarka Red, I think it's called. You know, just red weenie splashing green.
Yeah.
Or red aggro splashing green. And I didn't encounter any of those. Last week I encountered the Esper Dragon's control deck.
That's a very real deck.
Yeah, but I mean, I was able to beat it.
That's wow. Because usually,
or the week before.
I
last,
say
encountered
usually.
that.
Granted, I haven't been to our local FNM in several years now. But when we went there, it was very reflective of the Grand Prix Tour in terms of competitive levels of people running, the top tier decks of the day.
Well, last time I went to FNM regularly was during the Cawblade Extinction event.
Yes.
When 98% of brews went extinct. And that was the last time I went to FNM regularly, because that honked.
That was a bad time.
That was real bad. I remember us being pretty happy when we heard on the radio, heading back from Calgary, that Jace and Stoneforge had been banned. We're like, finally.
Yeah.
On the radio?
Not on the
Or
radio.
just, like, not on the radio. Somebody was like...
I was like, this just in on
this just
CBC.
This is breaking news bulletin. Maybe it was a podcast.
I think
or
it was a
like-
podcast.
or
Yeah.
something. I just remember hearing it in the car.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think. Oh, it was probably just someone checking their phone. But I would love that for the Alberta, rural CBC station
Yeah.
to be like.
This
He
is an
gets
emergency
handed a
broadcast.
piece of paper with the Wizards logo mark, and he's just like, "This breaking news:
That'd be great.
Standard no longer as stale as crusty bread."
Yeah.
So what have you? So you're going back to FNM tonight.
Yes.
What
and
have
I
you
have
changed?
made changes. Okay. So last week I was running a bunch of 4-ofs because it was a nascent deck and I didn't know what was going to be good. And so I thought, having a lot of reproducibility would be good. Cards that overperformed for me were like Sultai Charm.
The card seems really good.
Because it almost always had a target, but when it didn't have a target, it cycles, basically, right? So ultimate price is actually quite good. But I wound up cutting one Sultai Charm, so down to 3. I wound up cutting a Courser of Krufix.
Really?
She is really, really good, and I'm probably going to regret it, and this is probably the wrong move. But I cut it because the double green on turn 3 is difficult.
Real hard, even with your mana base?
Yeah. The mana base is soft. I should be running an Urborg, but the only thing I would cut for it is a swamp, and I don't want to cut swamps because I'm only running 5 islands and swamps with 4 polluted deltas.
Right. Because I noticed that in the comments last week. People were like, "Hey Cam, have you thought about running Urborg?"
Oh, I definitely have thought about running Urborg, but my mana base is already like, yeah. And I mean that smooths out your mana base, but the double black hasn't been difficult for me.
Fair enough.
Mostly because my double black is super late, and I cut a Kiora. Because I think I can get by with 3 Kioras.
So
That sounds about right.
So
'Cause
down
you won't want to
a Charm, down a Courser, down a Kiora, and you've replaced them with
3 Crux of Fate.
Aha.
Which
Sweepers.
goes against my general ethos when I decided to come back to Standard, which was don't buy Standard cards. Buy Eternal cards.
Womp womp.
Don't pay for Standard cards. And I'm like, this is probably about as good as Arath is going to be.
Yep.
In Standard from now on. It's going to be around for 18 months. And I need it. I can't not play this
So
card
Crux of
anymore.
Fate, let's not forget, is a 3 black for a sorcery, and you get to kill either all the dragons or all the not dragons.
Yes.
And it's in there not for dragons. It's in there for the
Therefore,
not
Bad
dragons.
Nation.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Damnation.
Yeah. Although that deck that was running Thunderbreak Regions and Storm Breaths,
Yeah, no, I would totally kill dragons then too. I would also kill dragons when they've got like Silumgar Dragon Lord and Ojutai Dragon Lord and Silumgar
Yep.
Drifting Death in play.
fair enough.
And that way I even get my thing back. I get my Courser back.
Nice.
But yeah, I need the Wrath effects. I wish it was Damnation. It's not Damnation. It's Crux of Fate, and that's what we get.
Fair enough.
It's like I'm also running Anticipate, even though I kind of wish it was Brainstorm. But hey, it's Standard.
Damnation.
I love
So
the art on
that
Damnation.
art is so cool.
Is a reverse
Of
of
the Wrath of
the
God?
the 10th edition Wrath of God art.
Yeah, like having those cards side by side
It looks really cool.
is so rad. But if anyone wants the deck list, I could actually probably just run through it here. It's not like it's a bunch of one-ofs.
Sure.
3 Thoughtseize, which I think was the card I didn't mention last week, because if you're running black, playing Thoughtseize almost
We gloss
seems,
over it quickly, but you
almost
mentioned
seems
it.
to go without saying.
You play Thoughtseize.
Yeah. 4 Anticipate, 3 Sultai Charm, 4 Dissolve, 4 Hero's Downfall, 3 Courser of Krufix, 3 Kiora the Crashing Wave, 2 Liliana Vess, 3 Crux of Fate, 2 Dig Through Time, 4 Villainous Wealth, which is probably too much Villainous Wealth,
Oh,
to be
it's so
perfectly
good,
honest.
though.
But it's a Villainous Wealth deck, and I'm running 4 of them. Deal with it. And then the
I
mana
guess
base
I guess
is-
the correct play, heavy air quotes, would be to put a courser back in for one of the wealths.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was gonna say
But
that
I'm
too.
with
No,
you. I'm with you. It's a villainous wealth deck. You play 4.
The correct play is to cut Kiora, Courser, Green, and Villainous Wealth.
Oh,
Add Silumgar Drifting Death, Silumgar Dragon Lord.
right. And just be a different deck.
Yeah, be the blue-black.
Why are you
control
running
deck.
all this green in this blue back control deck?
Yeah. It's a question I ask myself. Because honestly, I am playing this to win if I want the paths to exile.
Right.
But I think this deck can get there. And then the mana base is just like 4 Opulent Palace, 4 Temple of Mystery, 4 Temple of Deceit, 4 Deltas, and then like 2 Island, 3 Swamp, 4 Forest. And I'm running the Temple of Deceits and the Temple of Mystery because I wound up with them somehow just through drafting Theros Block a lot. And I don't have any Temples of Malady because they were printed in the last set.
Right.
And I'm like,
Because that would be good for getting your courser mana on turn 3.
yeah, Courser mana on turn 3 and Hero's Downfall mana on turn 3, but it's a standard card.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think these get any Eternal play at all. Like maybe in Modern, but they're kind of. I don't know.
I don't think I've seen any recent Legacy lists that play these cards. Mainly because like Legacy just has access to like way more powerful filters. It's like
Yeah.
I
why would
refuse
you
to
play-
comment because I have no idea.
It's like why would you play this when you could just play Brainstorm?
Yeah, well, I mean, like, why play this
Temple of
when?
Malwood, that's a completely...
I know.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
Just play
Yeah.
Brainstorm instead of like green black.
Yeah, it's like, okay, first off, cut all your green and black and put in 4 Brainstorm.
4 Mox...
Where are your Delvers at?
Yeah,
4 Mox Sapphire.
yeah.
That's vintage.
I know.
Actually, that's kitchen table.
I know. I was just messing around.
Congrats.
Have you
But-
changed your sideboard at all?
Yeah, actually, because I doubt my own abilities tremendously, I kept Kiora the Crashing Wave and a Courser of Krufix in my sideboard. I put in 4 Negate for the control matchup.
Right.
3 Foul Tongue Invocation for Dragon Lord Ojtai and Silumgar Drifting Death. 4 Bile Blight
Yup.
because I should be running Bile Blight in the main, but what? W/E. 2 Dranon Sorrow because there's got to be something that this card kills. This card has to wipe out Weenie decks, but it never does. It never does.
The Red Goblins deck you'd be able to get.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I would totally get a
Rebel
Red.
Master. Yeah.
And that's it. I really, really, really need to be running the Schlam creature.
Jorubai Schlam creature?
Yeah,
Schlam?
Jorubai Schlam.
Oh, right, you weren't here last
creature.
week.
No, was it?
Jorubai Schlam creature. It's
What?
Jorubai Merklurker
In German.
In the German printing, it's
Schlam creature.
it's Jorubai, and then the second word is one
Schlam
just
creature.
Schlam creature. One word, Schlam creature.
And we're mispronouncing that?
Oh,
we
I don't care. Do not
We
care.
don't care. It's
Yeah.
Slam creature now.
yeah,
Come on and
and
Schlam.
Slam creature.
And welcome to
Whoa!
the Schlam.
with 2 M's, Schlam creature.
Yep.
So
Creature
good.
Eagle.
Eine Creature deine while erhalt Lebensraum.
There is a German listener just like contorting in his chair right now.
Peeling their skin off.
Wow, the
So-
lifelink
99999.
the lifelink text in German is really messed up. Schwen, whatever.
Okay.
He also changed it to a different language on you.
Well, I noticed. I
Damn
was
it.
trying to remember.
So, moving away from, as you say, from standard cards and from 3-ofs and 4-ofs, you, Alex,
Hi.
have a new Highlander brew that you put together.
Kinda, yeah.
It's
Hulkless
Hulkless Hulk.
It's
That was a joke.
Well, yeah. Well, that's part of it.
All right.
So last time we talked about my deck, we went over a whole bunch of extraordinarily powerful like value cards that are just like top of their game.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a side project where I'm cutting about a third of those
Okay.
for a pile of garbage.
Okay.
Is it rad
A
garbage?
pile of rad garbage. So what gave me
Alex's rad garbage.
this is the raddest. So what gave me the idea for this? We may have touched on this briefly. I'm gonna start with some of the little packages in here, and I'm going to begin with Anafenza,
Anafenza Kintree
Kintree
Spirit, the new one.
the white one.
So she's 2/2 for white, and whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you bolster one.
Okay, that seems like perfectly.
That's totally
reasonable,
fair.
Fine card.
Okay.
Murderous Redcap.
Okay, so that's a 2/2 for 2, then red black hybrid, so 4 mana total. And when it comes into play, you hit a creature or player equal to its power. So presumably you stack the. It also has persist. So presumably you stack those triggers how you want, and you get to hit something for 3. Right? You bolster first, then you.
When it dies, it comes back and then it bolsters.
No,
I
I'm
think it's still.
talking about when it enters the first time.
Mm-hmm.
If you have an Anafenza out, you play this, you bolster first, then you dome something for 3.
Assuming it's the lowest power, which it probably is.
Yeah. Well, it's tied for Anafenzas. I'm just in a vacuum where you only have
In a
those
vacuum
two.
where you just like play this card on top of this other card. So
Yeah.
that's pretty sweet.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that seems like a fine value.
And then you add a sack outlet.
So
Yep.
you got your
Like Viscera Seer.
And
This-
you win the game.
So Viscera Seer is a 1/1 for a single black mana. Sacrifice a creature, scry 1.
Okay.
So hang on. Let me try and figure out how this works. You sacrifice Murderous Redcap to Viscera Seer.
Correct.
You get to scry 1.
Correct.
Redcap has persist.
Correct.
So it comes back as a 1/1 because it has a -1/-1 counter on it. But then Anafenza bolsters because Redcap only has 1 toughness. It will be tied for the lowest power. You put a +1/+1 counter on it. It negates the -1/-1 counter, meaning you can then
You're
sacrifice
back
it
at 0.
again and have it persist again, and you can continually deal. You can just
So, yes.
infinitely deal 2 damage to something,
So this combo also,
like your opponent.
Yes. So this combo also works with
That's really cool.
Kitchen Finks
Mhm.
because it also has persist. That one gains you infinite life.
So this is Malira combo.
This is Malira combo with no Malira.
Yeah, Malira-less Malira.
Or
and it has-
Malira?
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 I think it's. I don't know. I think it's Malira.
And it has a bunch of redundancies.
Really, I like redundancy.
I play Mikaeus the Unhallowed,
Really,
which is achieves the same effect as Anafenza, but is also just really good.
because non-human creatures you control get +1/+1 and have undying.
So if a creature has Undying and Persist at the same time,
it comes
when
back.
it dies, it just comes back.
It just comes back.
The same as it
Because
was.
the count. Because undying is +1/+1 counter. Persist is -1/-1 counter. So the counters negate each other, and it just comes back. It just comes back.
Yep.
Period. End of sentence.
So, and then there's plenty of sacrifice outlets. About a third of the cards from the previous list stay in, just because A, they're too good to not play, and B, they still have synergy. So I keep in
Can I just read these 3?
Falconwrath Aristocrat and Butcher the Horde, because they are also sacrifice outlets.
Right.
But
And
they're
then
good.
you've got Carrion Feeder, which is a 1/1 for a single black. Can't block, sacrifice a creature, put a +1/+1 counter on it.
So
Goblin Bombardment, which of course is an enchantment for 1 and a red. Sacrifice a creature, deals 1 damage to creature or player. And Cartel Aristocrat, which is a 2/2 for a white and a black. Sacrifice another creature, and it gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. So you've got these sack outlets.
yeah, so you got all these ways of like having redundancy, and then you start expanding out into like other weird sort of adjacent combos. So for example, Carrion Feeder and Gravecrawler are a 2-card sort of combo.
So Gravecrawler is a 2/1 zombie for a single black that can't block, but you can cast it from your graveyard as long as you control a zombie. And Carrion Feeder that I mentioned is a zombie. So you can sack Gravecrawler to Carrion Feeder, pay 1 black to bring Gravecrawler back, sacrifice Gravecrawler to Carrion Feeder, and you can just pay 1.
it's 1 black, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature.
Oh yeah, and you do have Blood Artist as well.
Yeah, so there's other stuff in this deck that just benefits from all this sacrificing going on. Stuff like Blood Artist, stuff like Goblin Sharpshooter. And then like because I'm still in Mardu colors, I play things that complement it. So it's like these 2 cards that I just showed you, Carrion Feeder and Gravecrawler. I have Ranger of Eos, which goes and finds both of those at the same time.
So Ranger of Eos is 3 and a white for a 3/2, but when it enters the battlefield, you can search your library for up to 2 creature cards with converted mana cost 1 or less, and put them into your hand. And Carrion Feeder and Gravecrawler are each 1 color, or one mana CMC. Pardon me.
Yup.
And then you've also got
whole bunch of other
Revelark
goofy
and
stuff.
Karmic Guide.
So this is when we were talking about Hulkless Hulk,
Okay.
because I'm going to try and describe
This is,
how-
by the way, I guess we should say, we may have just only briefly mentioned, this is a Highlander deck,
Oh, yes.
which is that we've talked about it a lot on the podcast, but in case you've missed any of the other episodes, it is a 100-card singleton format. It is not like Commander. It is, you play 1-on-1, you have 20 starting life, it's highly competitive, and it's
We have
basically,
a points list instead of a ban list.
and it's open to all cards. What is it? It's you have a points.
vintage.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
vintage.
It's vintage legal.
Okay, so sorry, we were saying Karmic Guide does what now? 3 white for a 2/2 with flying and protection from black and echo. When it comes into play, you get a creature from your graveyard and put it onto the battlefield. And then Revelark is 4 and a white for a 4/3 with flying and it also has Evoke for 5 and a white. When Revelark leaves play, return up to 2 target creature cards with power 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield.
So because we're
Wait,
already
Karmic Guide has power 2 or less.
well spotted.
So what happens here?
So these two cards, they're good to play because we have all these ways to sacrifice creatures, which is how this works in the first place. You want Revelark and a creature you want to kill them with in the bin, like say Murderous Redcap. You play Karmic Guide. Let me see if I can do this correctly. Karmic Guide, when it comes into play, it reanimates a creature. You target Revelark. Revelark comes into play, and it wants to animate 2 creatures power 2 or less. With its ability on the stack, you sacrifice Karmic Guide, put it back in the bin, target the 2 creatures you want, which are Karmic Guide and Redcap. These come into play. This triggers. You sacrifice this, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. So you basically get to cycle Revelark and Karmic Guide and one other creature. And if that creature has an effect that
Now,
either makes tokens or like domes your opponent or something, you just kill them.
really nitpicky rules question.
Yeah.
Technically, don't you have to sacrifice Karmic Guide with the Karmic Guide trigger on the stack?
You're probably right.
Because-
I'm sure I'm screwing up the way this works, but it does
Well,
work.
yeah, because you're doing it just in person, and you can do like whatever. But I'm thinking in Magic Online terms because I play more online. Because for Revelark's trigger to go on the stack, I believe you have to declare the targets.
Yeah.
So you have to.
There's
Karmic
some
Guide
real
enters,
subtleties to
and
the...
you target Revelark.
Yeah.
And then while that triggers on the stack, you sacrifice Karmic Guide.
Right.
Then Revelark comes back, and then you can target Karmic Guide and bring it back. And say Redcap, and then you sacrifice both of that. You also get to scry through your whole deck with this if you're using
Or
Viscera
dome
Seer.
them for infinity with like just these 2 cards, and like Goblin Bombardment kills them.
Oh, sorry.
REVE.
ILLARK.
Paul's having a tough time spelling Revelark to get it up on the overlay.
Yeah, so like these 2 with Bombardment kill them.
There it is.
These 2 with I just realized with
What's that, Paul?
Sorry.
what's it called?
What was frustrating about that
Yeah.
is so I was looking for Revelark, like REVELARK.
Right.
Revelark.
Yeah. So I tried looking for that,
Mm-hmm.
and I tried looking for it with like an A, and tried to do different things, and I wasn't finding it. And I was like, fine, I'll Google search for it because a Revelark is a real,
Yeah.
well, not a real thing, but it is a word.
Yeah.
Problem is, so many people are spelling it incorrectly
Oh, no.
that Google will not. Like Google is like, that's a word, that's fine.
Oh no.
So I was like, I cannot find this thing.
Nice. So the synergy with that is like either let me find some creatures. So it's like if you were to do that loop with Mog War Marshal, you'd make infinite
Infinite goblins.
goblin tokens. If you were to do it with Gitu Slinger, you just dome them.
Because the Gitu Slinger deals 2 every time it enters the battlefield.
Yeah. And then just like even just those with something that that procs off of creatures entering or leaving play. So like Blood Artist Outpost, Siege, and Falconwrath Noble.
So you're just putting this together.
I'm just putting this together.
How consistently do you think you can get the like 2 or 3 creatures, or a combination of 2 or 3 creatures that lets you just go?
Not a clue. We will find out. I'm not playing blue, but I am playing black, which gets me access to a lot of tutors.
So
And,
are you going to play this at Highlander on Monday?
maybe. I may do that. I need to get the particulars of the list together. But I play a lot of really powerful tutors because rather than filtering for combo pieces, I can just go right for them. So my tutor suite is going to be Enlightened Tutor, Vampiric Tutor, Demonic Tutor, Tainted Pact, not Demonic Consultation. What the hell's it called? It's Demonic Tutor, but as an additional cost, you sacrifice a creature.
God, it's got Krovax on it.
Yeah, you know the one I'm talking about.
I don't.
I hate it when this happens.
Yeah.
Because I feel like such an
From
idiot.
Plane Chase?
Yeah.
Not Plane Chase, Plane Shift.
Diabolic Intent.
Diabolic Intent.
That's the one.
It, yeah.
So I can play a lot of these. And some of the tutors I may end up cutting, but I kind of want to try them. So
What
it's
about
like
Sidisi?
CDC?
She's probably too expensive. The new one, it's 4 black. She's
Oh,
a
yeah.
4/6 with Death Touch. When she enters the battlefield, you get to sacrifice a creature, and if you do, you demonic tutor.
Maybe.
Probably too
It's
expensive.
worth thinking. I mean, I'm at the point where it's like I'm seriously considering playing Gamble.
Ooh,
I might play Demonic Consultation, even though it's insane.
God! I just imagine that the Loki meme with Gamble pasted over him. You must be truly desperate to come to me for help.
That's true. I mean, I get to play sweet stuff like Entomb. And
Gamble. Sorry, to be clear, Gamble is. Can I just read it
go
from
for
yours
it.
real quick?
This is a
It's
dirty,
really
dirty
weird.
tutor.
Single red mana sorcery. Search your library for a card, put it into your hand, and then discard a card at random. So you could just completely.
You could whiff. Although,
I've seen it happen a lot.
if you were to do something like, I don't know, gamble for Unburial Rights,
Oh, that's fine. That works
Yeah.
either way.
Yep.
All right.
or gamble for like anything with flashback is like pretty good to gamble for, like Faithless Looting, and like stuff like Gravecrawler, or I play a lot of the like cards that are sort of in theme with this deck, so like Bloodghast. I play Buried Alive.
Oh yeah.
So it's trying to figure out exactly what little combos that complement one another. I'm gonna end up
Sun
playing.
Titan.
Yes, Sun Titan.
That seems strong.
Oh, Sun Titan.
Doesn't that hit like everything else in that pile
It
you're
hits a lot
holding?
of stuff. It's like it's got all these enters play creatures.
Alesha.
Well, okay, so Sun Titan hits Alesha.
Yeah.
And then Alesha
Alesha.
can hit, I don't know,
Everything
Blade
else?
Splicer, Bone Shredder, Gitu Slinger, it's everything else in the deck. Mog War Marshal.
Wow, that seems very strong.
I think that this deck is either going to powerfully do nothing in a
Yes.
really, really fun way,
Yes.
or just like come at the opponent in weird, oblique like haymakers
I like
that
it.
they just don't expect.
I like it a lot.
Well, it's I predict this is going to be one of those decks where you're in the middle of a game and then you're like,
Oh,
and yeah, exactly.
see the line?
Yeah, you'll be like looking at the board state and you'll look at what's in your hand and then you'll go, "Oh, wait a minute, you're dead." Like you'll realize, "Oh, wait a sec.
It's like
If I just
Entomb
go
kill
through
you.
yeah, exactly. Just go through my whole deck and then suddenly you're dead."
I'm sorry, what?
Cool.
Do you have the counter? Okay, you're dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, there's lots of combos that I could be playing in these colors that I'm assessing whether or not I want to play them. It's like Academy Rector might be in this deck. I don't know.
Well,
'Cause-
like what I like about this is that yes, it's a combo deck or a deck that plays combos, but all these creatures are
Are
actually
good on their
still
own.
pretty good. Like you could win this as a mid-range deck.
Yeah, like this deck is basically like the Mardu version of Pattern Rector, which is a deck that played like Hulk combo, but it's a perfectly serviceable rock deck besides that.
Yes.
That can just go like straight value beatdown plan. And it's the same thing with this, where it's just like, you know, it's a scrapper that has a rocket launcher in its back pocket. So there's combos that I'm assessing. Like this deck is going to play the Blink Angel, Restoration Angel.
Yeah.
Resto
And it's
Angel.
like, well, I'm in red. I could play Kiki Jiki and win the game with that. Because Resto Angel and Kiki Jiki is a 2-card combo. That
Oh
wins
wow,
the game.
original Kikijiki art.
Oh yeah, I'm so OG.
Nice.
And also available in red, the combos of Kiki Jiki is
Zealous
Zealous
Conscripts. Wow.
Although these are all 5-drops,
That
and
is
it's
not
harder,
the original art.
It is harder to find, like these two in play
There it
at
is.
the same
Right.
time. It's like maybe I'm supposed to play that 5-drop Wrath spell that reanimates everything at the same time. Very, God damn it!
Oh wait,
You know the one I'm talking about.
not Pyrrhic Victory.
No, kill everything. Everything in graveyards comes back to life.
Oh, wait, isn't there a combo deck based around that? It's like a cycling deck.
Maybe.
It plays every 1-mana cycler
Damn.
and just like digs, then reanimates everything. And plays
Yeah,
like a bunch
the
of
name
evoke
of it
creatures.
is completely
Yeah.
gone out of my mind.
I have
I'm sure
no
everybody
idea.
who's listening to this knows what I'm talking about, but
I don't.
it's
I've
good.
played against that deck. I had no idea what it was doing for a long time. Then I found out.
Empty the Catacombs?
No. It's 3 black. Destroy all creatures in play, or actually like set them aside, and then all creatures in all graveyards.
Oh, Living Death.
Thank you. There we go. Living
Right.
Death.
Sorry.
Right.
It's like because if I were to go like I don't know Buried Alive Living Death, then I win the game.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
So yeah, maybe I need to find a Buried Alive.
Or a
Living Death.
a Living
Sorry,
Death.
Living Death.
Sorry, you had Recurring Nightmare in there.
Yeah,
And I got
for-
those confused because they both go in the same cube deck and they're both gross.
Oh, you've got a recurring nightmare?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's
Nice.
filthy.
for pure value. I'm
Yeah.
like this deck is basically going to.
That's what that card is called. It's pure value.
Yeah,
it's disgusting.
This deck is actually like not going to use this to animate like massive fat. It's just going to endlessly cycle value.
So Recurring Nightmare is 2 and a black for an enchantment, and you sacrifice a creature, and this is part of the cost. You sacrifice a creature and return Recurring Nightmare to your hand to put a creature from your graveyard onto the battlefield. So the reason that Recurring Nightmare is so flipping annoying is you can only get rid of it by countering it. Because if they play it and it resolves, well, they need to have a creature in play. But if it resolves and you try to kill it, they sack the creature and return it to their hand as part of the cost, which you cannot respond to. You can respond to the trigger, but then the Recurring Nightmare is already back in their hand.
yeah, because you have priority.
So it's
you activate
very,
it and
very
you can't-
difficult to
yeah.
get rid of.
It's a pain in the ass.
I guess, does Croson Grip hit enchantments?
Yes.
Okay.
So
That's the card with Split Second.
Yup.
Split Second means you can't respond to it. It doesn't matter. Anyway,
It's yeah. This is a big old fun pile.
I can't wait to hear how it
I
goes.
don't
Yeah,
know
me
what's going to
too.
happen with it.
You'll have to give us an update next week
I'm
as well.
excited.
This is great. We get to track people's progress. I'm excited.
Yeah.
So yeah, Magic Origins spoilers have started coming out.
Oh boy.
We didn't get into any of them this week, but they're pretty exciting. We have our own spoiler card, which will be going up on. Whoops, Alex dropped his cards. Which will be going up on July 2nd.
It's going to be a big deal.
I'm excited about it. But we'll talk about some Origins spoilers next week probably, and we'll find out how Cam
I am
does tonight at
stoked
FNM.
for all the new Planeswalkers.
Yeah.
me too.
They're all great.
They're very good.
Yeah. So we'll go in depth probably on the Transform Planeswalkers next week. So sudden spoiling. Very nice. Very nice.
Nice segue,
In flavor.
That's a
In
really
flavor.
good,
You
really
win.
good segue. But yeah, that's it for TapTapConcede this week. As with all of our podcasts and basically all of our video content, this is brought to you by your kind support of our Patreon at patreon.com/LoadingReadyRun. Please check that out. We really appreciate it because it lets us do all the things that we do. And until next time, thank you for listening. Talk to you next week.